Darcy Ingram was 32 years old when she realized the people she trusted most had nearly destroyed her daughter's life. For years, Darcy had fought to escape the control of her father, Ray Ingram, a proud and intimidating man who believed his daughter's purpose was to stay close to home, marry young, obey quietly, and never challenge his authority, unlike her older sister Jenna, who followed the exact future their father wanted. Darcy joined the U.S. Army at 18 because it was the only path Ray couldn't control. She built a life through discipline, sacrifice, and endless hard work, eventually becoming a logistics officer stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. When a civilian contractor named Marcus abandoned her during pregnancy, Darcy raised her daughter Lily completely alone. Despite the hardship, the two became inseparable, moving from base to base and learning how to survive together no matter where the military sent them. Lily was cheerful, imaginative, and deeply attached to her mother, but everything changed when Darcy received orders for a 9-month deployment to Kuwait. With only days to finalize a military family care plan, Darcy had to make an impossible decision about who would care for her 80-year-old daughter while she was overseas. Her parents immediately volunteered, promising Lily would be safe, loved, and treated like family. Believing she had no better option, Darcy signed temporary guardianship papers, transferred money every month to cover Lily's expenses, and kissed her daughter goodbye, believing she was leaving her in trusted hands. She had no idea she was walking directly into the worst mistake of her life. At first, everything sounded normal during their weekly video calls, but Darcy slowly noticed unsettling changes. Lily stopped talking about school, stopped smiling naturally, and answered questions with nervous, one-word replies, while her grandmother hovered constantly in the background, controlling every conversation. The little girl, who once rambled excitedly about playground adventures and funny classroom stories, suddenly acted frightened to speak openly. Darcy tried convincing herself it was simply the stress of adjusting to a new home, but deep down she sensed something darker happening. Then one day a care package arrived from Tennessee containing candy, a school photo, and a child's drawing that shattered Darcy's heart. On one side of the page, Lily had drawn the family together, her grandparents, Aunt Jenna, and cousin Tyler, all smiling and holding hands, while on the opposite side, she had drawn herself completely alone. Underneath the picture, in careful handwriting, were the words, "My family." Darcy immediately called home, demanding answers, but her father dismissed her concerns, mocked her for playing soldier overseas, and insisted Lily was fine. That moment became the first time Darcy seriously considered that her daughter might not be safe in her parents' house. Instead of ignoring the feeling, she quietly began documenting everything in a small green notebook she carried in her military locker. She recorded dates, conversations, behavioral changes, and every disturbing detail she noticed from thousands of miles away. As the months passed, the evidence became impossible to ignore. Through the school's online portal, Darcy discovered that her father picked Tyler up immediately every afternoon, while Lily was routinely left in an after-school program until evening. Tyler had a fully decorated bedroom at the grandparents' house, while Lily slept in a guest room on a folding couch without curtains. Darcy also learned her father had refused to even place his own name as Lily's emergency contact at school, leaving all responsibility to her grandmother. During calls, Lily carefully avoided mentioning Tyler, and whenever Darcy asked if everything was okay at home, her daughter looked frightened before quietly saying yes. Then Darcy remembered something Lily had whispered before deployment. "What if Grandpa gets mad again?" At the time, Darcy convinced herself it only meant yelling, but now every memory took on a terrifying new meaning. Still trapped overseas and unable to return immediately, Darcy started building a private record of neglect and emotional abuse, preparing herself for the possibility that she might need legal intervention. Once she came home, what she didn't know was that the worst moment had not happened yet. One violent, stormy evening, everything exploded because of a lie 10-year-old Tyler accused Lily of breaking something inside the house, and as always, Ray Ingram believed his grandson instantly without asking a single question. Fueled by anger and years of favoritism, he dragged 80-year-old Lily to the front door and threw her outside into the middle of a thunderstorm. Rain hammered the streets while thunder shook the neighborhood, yet Ray slammed the door shut and left his terrified granddaughter alone in the darkness, like she was nothing more than a stray animal. Lily wandered several blocks, crying and soaked before crawling into a storm drain for shelter, where she remained trapped for 3 horrifying hours while freezing rain poured over her tiny body. By the time emergency responders found her, she was shivering uncontrollably and barely able to speak. The hospital contacted Darcy through the military emergency number attached to Lily's dependent identification card, the very card Darcy had given her daughter before deployment, promising it would always lead people back to her mother. Hearing what happened shattered Darcy completely, but while her parents prepared excuses and tried to minimize the situation, they had no idea Darcy had already spent months gathering evidence against them. Every cruel comment, every sign of neglect, every ignored warning, and every documented detail had been carefully recorded. Sitting beside Lily's hospital bed after finally returning home, Darcy listened as her father attempted to justify what he had done. That was the moment she realized her parents would never change and never admit the truth about the damage they caused. What none of them understood was that Darcy had already made the call that would destroy their reputation, expose years of abuse, and permanently end their control over her daughter's life forever. Darcy Ingram's fear slowly transformed into certainty as more disturbing truths about her daughter's life inside her parents' home began coming to light. Every new detail revealed a painful pattern of favoritism, emotional neglect, and quiet cruelty that had been building for months while Darcy was trapped overseas serving in Kuwait. Lily had become almost invisible inside the Ingram household while her cousin Tyler was treated like the center of the family's universe. Lily was pushed aside at every opportunity, constantly reminded directly and indirectly that she did not truly belong there. Darcy first noticed the difference through small details hidden in ordinary routines. Every day after school, Tyler was picked up immediately at 315 by Ray Ingram and brought home like a priority, while 80-year-old Lily sat alone in the extended day program for nearly 2 extra hours waiting for her grandmother to arrive. Close to dinner time, Tyler's life revolved around attention, celebration, and affection. When his birthday arrived in October, Jenna posted photos all over social media showing a huge backyard party packed with children, a bounce house, a baseball-themed cake, mountains of presents, and Darcy's parents smiling proudly beside him as if he were the only grandchild they had. But when Lily's birthday came 3 months later, Darcy received only a single text message from her mother, a sad photo of Lily sitting quietly at the kitchen table beside a plain store-bought cake with no candles, no decorations, no friends, and no excitement. The image broke Darcy's heart because Lily's smile looked forced and empty. When Darcy called demanding to know why her daughter's birthday had been treated so differently, her mother coldly replied that money had been tight and that Lily didn't want a big party anyway. Darcy immediately knew that was a lie. No 80-year-old dreams of spending their birthday alone in silence while watching another child receive everything. Then Connie said the sentence Darcy would never forget: Tyler lives here full-time, Lily is temporary. That single word, temporary, cut deeper than any insult because it revealed exactly how they saw her daughter, not as family, but as a visitor occupying space in someone else's home. That conversation pushed Darcy into action. Sitting alone at a military communications station at 3 a.m, she filed a hardship reassignment request to return home early from Kuwait. She carefully documented every concern she had gathered so far: the school pickup discrepancies, the counselor's observations, Lily's disturbing drawings, and the emotional withdrawal that had become impossible to ignore. Her commanding officer, Colonel Barrett, took the situation seriously immediately and approved the request to move up the chain of command. But Darcy did not stop there. She secretly contacted Captain Elena Rivera, a judge advocate general officer she trusted from a previous assignment. Rivera immediately warned her to start building a legal paper trail before anything escalated further. She explained that if custody or child welfare became an issue later, documentation created before a major incident would matter far more than emotional accusations afterward. From that point forward, Darcy became methodical. Every phone call with her parents was logged, every text message was saved, every school report, behavioral note, and concerning conversation was copied into a growing digital file labeled family. Quietly and without warning anyone, Darcy began preparing for a battle she hoped would never happen. Meanwhile, Lily's situation inside the house continued getting worse. The deeper Darcy looked, the clearer the toxic dynamic became. Tyler had apparently been lying about Lily for months, and every adult in the family automatically believed him without hesitation whenever something went wrong. Lily became the scapegoat. If Tyler broke an object during a tantrum, he blamed Lily, and Ray punished her immediately, without listening to her side. If food disappeared from the kitchen, Tyler accused Lily of stealing it, and Connie scolded her for lacking self-control. At school, Tyler falsely claimed Lily had insulted him during recess, leading teachers to separate her from him for an entire week despite no evidence supporting his story. By then, Lily had already stopped defending herself because experience taught her it didn't matter. Every accusation ended the same way Tyler spoke. Adults believed him, and Lily was dismissed before she could finish a sentence. Over time, she stopped explaining, stopped arguing, and stopped trusting anyone in that house. Instead, she retreated into silence, and drawings. The only adult who seemed to notice was the school counselor Gail Patterson, who spent weekly sessions quietly allowing Lily to express herself through pictures instead of forcing conversation. Mrs. Patterson later explained that Lily's artwork revealed loneliness, fear, and emotional isolation far beyond what an 80-year-old should carry. Even more disturbing was the language Lily repeated from her grandfather. According to Patterson, Lily said Ray constantly reminded her that she was not a real Ingram. Those words hit Darcy like a punch to the chest because her father had once said the exact same thing to her years earlier when she enlisted in the army. To Ray, Ingram, loyalty meant obedience, and anyone who stepped outside his expectations stopped deserving unconditional love. Now, he was passing that cruelty onto a frightened little girl who only wanted acceptance from her own family. One incident in particular revealed just how deeply Lily had been excluded. During a family dinner, Connie brought out an heirloom pearl necklace passed down through generations of Ingram women. Sitting proudly beside Tyler, she told him that someday the necklace would belong to him as part of the family legacy. Tyler held the pearls carefully while everyone watched him with affection. Then Lily quietly asked if she could hold them too. Connie refused without even looking at her, claiming she might drop them because she was clumsy. Jenna immediately joined in by bringing up an old accident where Tyler had broken a vase, but blamed Lily for it. Instead, everyone accepted the lie as fact while Lily sat silently absorbing the humiliation. After dinner, she returned alone to the guest room and spent hours drawing by herself while the rest of the family ignored her existence. Nobody checked on her, nobody comforted her, nobody asked why an 80-year-old had withdrawn so completely into isolation. Later, Mrs. Patterson contacted Darcy directly and explained that Lily had become deeply anxious around adults, flinching whenever voices were raised and isolating herself from other children during recess. Then Patterson shared the statement that finally convinced Darcy something far more serious was happening emotionally inside that home. Lily had quietly told her counselor, "Grandpa says I'm not a real Ingram." Hearing those words shattered whatever denial Darcy still carried. Her daughter was no longer simply uncomfortable. She was being psychologically rejected inside the very family trusted to protect her. Desperate for answers, Darcy called her sister Jenna, hoping another mother might finally understand the damage being done. Instead, the conversation exposed just how normalized the cruelty had become within the family. Jenna dismissed every concern and insisted Lily simply needed to learn her place in the household. Those words stunned Darcy into silence because they confirmed exactly what Lily had been feeling all along. She was treated like an outsider, expected to quietly earn the right to exist in the home. Jenna defended Tyler, constantly praising him for helping around the house and criticizing Lily for retreating into her room to draw, as though an 80-year-old child coping with emotional rejection should somehow behave like a fully adjusted adult. When Darcy pointed out that Tyler had two parents, his own bedroom, constant attention and stability, while Lily slept on a folding couch far from her mother, Jenna fell silent for a moment before saying something that permanently changed how Darcy saw her entire family. In that moment, Darcy finally understood the truth she had been avoiding for months. Lily was never truly welcomed into that house. She was tolerated, judged, blamed, and emotionally abandoned, while everyone around her protected Tyler at all costs. And although Darcy still didn't know it, yet the lies, favoritism, and emotional cruelty building inside that family were about to lead directly to the horrifying stormy night that would nearly cost her daughter everything. Darcy Ingram returned to Tennessee carrying far more than luggage from Kuwait. She carried 7 months of fear-guilt evidence and the growing realization that her daughter had been emotionally abandoned by the very family trusted to protect her. The breaking point came during a devastating phone call with her sister Jenna. What began as an attempt to calmly discuss Lily's emotional decline quickly exposed how deeply the entire family had accepted the toxic hierarchy inside the Ingram household. Jenna dismissed Lily's loneliness as a behavioral issue and repeatedly defended Tyler's treatment as normal because had been there longer than. Without hesitation, she casually revealed something that left Darcy speechless. She had already suggested to their parents that maybe they should permanently adopt Lily because Darcy was never around anyway. Jenna insisted Lily needed a real family environment, as though Darcy's service in the army erased her motherhood. Hearing her own sister speak about taking away her child like it was a practical household decision changed something inside Darcy permanently. The pain wasn't sadness anymore, it became cold clarity. In that moment, she realized her family no longer viewed her as Lily's mother, but as an obstacle standing between them and control over the child. Darcy hung up the phone, immediately opened her Army legal assistance portal, and began drafting formal custody review notes if her family wanted a fight over Lily's future. Then she would return prepared, not emotionally prepared, legally prepared. She promised herself that when she came home, she would come home armed with documentation, timelines, witness statements, and evidence strong enough to destroy every lie they had built around her daughter. 3 weeks later, Darcy's hardship reassignment request was approved. Colonel Barrett personally handed her the paperwork in Kuwait, telling her bluntly that whatever was happening at home mattered more than logistics operations overseas. Darcy packed everything important in less than an hour: her green notebook filled with documented incidents, her laptop containing months of saved evidence, and Lily's heartbreaking family drawing folded carefully inside her uniform pocket. After 17 exhausting hours of flights and layovers, she landed in Nashville and checked into a hotel only minutes from her parents' house. But despite being so close to Lily for the first time in months, Darcy did not immediately confront her parents. She followed Captain Rivera's advice carefully because she understood her family's patterns too well. If she stormed into the house emotionally, her father would paint her as unstable, her mother would cry and claim victimhood, and Jenna would tell everyone Darcy abandoned her daughter during deployment and now wanted to punish the people who stepped up. Instead, Darcy focused on building an undeniable case. Before making a move the next morning, she went directly to Millbridge Elementary to meet Lily's school counselor, Gail Patterson, who had quietly become one of the only adults genuinely paying attention to